But all of those experiences, like the crying when I got dropped off in Greensboro because everything was literally green and it was no longer the Bay Area. And then having those moments like, how do you cope when you can't be at home? Like, I lost a lot of friends in college. Like, I swear, like every other month, you know, I got those phone calls, blah, 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 this happened, this happened, this happened. Like, you know, those things happen. But the support system at Bennett taught me that it was okay to be away and grow. Like, I came from a very toxic environment in the Bay Area growing up in between San Francisco and Oakland. And I always seen women beating one another down, and like I lived in, you know, pretty much each hood in the Bay Area, so that's all I saw. And when I went to Bennett, I was like, there's black women, they speak well, they've traveled the world, they actually dress nicely, they're not tearing one another down. So I took all of that and I actually tried to go for as much as I possibly could. I mean, it was there, so it was like, why would I miss out on any opportunities? So when I got to Columbia, it was completely different. I sat in the classroom where I was always one of the black girls in the classroom. And then I did like the #1 journalism program. So there were 20 of us in this class of like nearly 400. And I mean us. So it was difficult at first navigating that space. I knew I was smart enough to be there because I got in clearly. But at times I had to remind myself of my process prior to Columbia, being out, reporting on the front lines, and having this experience of like being in a department that wasn't as robust at my HBCU. And sitting in the classroom with people who like make you always have to address your blackness is something. Like every day I had to address who I was in that space. Like each and every time at Columbia. I was just like, okay, I'm black and I'm in a room. And I had to be okay with that. Clearly, I've been black my whole life. I'm not going to be nothing else. I don't want to be. I'd be so mad if I wasn't a black woman. But it's night and day. And if you are, you know, as you do enter this predominantly white space, just make sure that you're always comfortable with who you are. When people reach, you know, fall back. And, you know, you have that information, but it may be to his power being there. Because, I mean, at 27, I was like, nobody is going to actually touch my hair. Like, do you want to pull back enough? But it happens. So just go into that non-black space, claiming your blackness and being okay. You don't always have to defend who you are, but be ready to be assertive. Like, don't be the turtle that, like, goes back and shrinks. Be like the owl, who is wise and okay with asking for information, but is also willing to assert themselves, because it can become challenging. I mean, at 27, I was like, Columbia, well, 26, whatever. I'm like, wait, what's going on? But it really challenged you to remember what you know, and it challenged you to be who you are, even when you're in a really uncomfortable position. So that's that.
That's awesome. Another thing that I wanted to talk about, just as a topic in general, and either Zeke, you could probably respond on this, is networking and the importance of networking as soon as you get in the door, so that the relationships that you have when you start, you know, you can start to build and meet new people, and eventually it will come full circle in what it is that you want to do. When you go to anywhere, if you're in school and you have a project that you're working on and you're networking, you're meeting this person, who's to say down the line that's not the person that's going to help you get it, you know what I'm saying? So what's the benefit of networking? How do I network if I'm an introvert? I don't like to talk to anybody, like Chester was saying, kind of shy. How can I, you know, open up?
Network. One thing my father always told me before he passed away, like 2 months ago, he always say your network is your net worth. Because I might not have all the resources that she has, and she might not have all the resources that I have, but if we come together and put it together, that's major. Napoleon Hill talks about that in a book called Think and Grow Rich. Anybody read it? Think and Grow Rich. That's an awesome book.
You got some index cards over here. You want to take these jewels home with you so you can have something to look over later.
Think and Grow Rich, and talks about it, a mastermind, basically 2 or more people coming together with the same goals, going in the directions and putting it together. And it's very important to network, okay? She can speak more about introvert. I'm like more outgoing, I'm not really shy or whatnot.
As soon as I said that, he's like, where are you from? I was like, dang, all right.
Oh, nice. Yeah, so just connecting with people and networking is so important. Like I said, you may not have the access that I have, but if we put it together, it's major. Before I forget, I want to touch on something. Thank you for bringing up the whole mental health, because that's major, that's important. A lot of times, especially in the African American community, we like to keep that on the hush hush. You know, first off, it's the stigma. You know, it's not talked about as well. You know, you go to the hospital and you break a leg. What are you in the hospital for? I broke my leg. You know, what are you fighting?
Heard that bad?
Right? Or, you know, you're dealing with cancer. You know, you can talk about these things. When you're dealing with mental health, you don't say, oh, I have bipolar, I'm bipolar. You know, I'm dealing with a manic situation. You know, a lot of times we're taught to just pray about it. Go to God. That's A1. Pray, but faith without works is dead. So, you know, being at school my senior year, I had to reach out and talk to somebody. You know, because we were talking about being back home and how to deal with that. I would get calls all the time. Somebody died or somebody got locked up, or can you send this? And I thought that I needed to be that breadwinner, but someone told me, and I'll leave you guys with this. They use an analogy like being on an airplane. You know, in case of emergency, you put the air mask on yourself first before you assist someone else. So your health is major. We don't care about the money, the degrees, and the relationships, the boo things. If you don't have your health right, we can't go to college. We can't make it out of college. You know. So while you're in there networking, so making sure that you keep that health in line as well.
Wait, before you finish though, could you explain, because I don't know too much about it, but like, could you explain and just let them know that mental health does not mean you're crazy.
Yeah.
Just because you need to talk to somebody does not mean you're crazy.
Yeah, it doesn't mean you're crazy. A lot of times, you know, I dealt with mental health, PTSD, that's post-traumatic stress disorder. And a lot of people ask me, what branch of the military were you in? I've never been to the military. I've never been to the military. I believe that just growing up in America, you can deal with some stresses. Waking up and watching the news and all what's going on, and you getting that poured into you. So it doesn't mean you're crazy, you know. It just means that you're dealing with some things, and you may just need to talk to someone, you know. And I think that it's, you know, when you say, I think that it's a stigma because we refer to it as I am bipolar. No, I'm not bipolar. You know, I deal with that issue. You know, I'm manic. No, I'm not manic. I may deal with that. You know, so it's kind of hard to kind of open up about that. So yeah.
You know, I just want to jump in on that because you said it so well. I remember hearing this woman said she had cancer, and it wasn't because, you know, she was diagnosed with it, but she had it. And I think it's important to remember or inquire about your family's history with health before you move. My grandmother struggled with, you know, dealing with schizophrenia and so much. She was sick my entire life. And I was never embarrassed by that. Like, my dad would tell me, you know, your grandmother has mental challenges and X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, what's that? So one of the things that happens to me when I'm extremely stressed, I get sick. Like, Lydia gets sick. I'm like, I got hives and all this other stuff. And I wasn't able to identify that until I went to college. In high school, I would sign myself up, forward signatures, be in X, Y, and Z, never in the house because I didn't want to deal with what was going on in the house. And it was that time when I was away and 100 miles away where I had to deal with stuff going on at home on my campus. So my body was breaking down and I wasn't paying attention to myself clearly, or my family history. So when I was talking to Ms. Campbell in the health center, or I was going to get bubbles from Reverend McLean in the chapel, I'm like, you know, I was blowing the bubbles. I had free chapstick, everything from the chapel. But you can't be embarrassed by it. You have to confront it and deal with it head on, because if not, it will take you out. So I commend you for going to the center. I went as well, and it's something you have to do something, you know, in silence to take care of yourself. And you talked about that moment, you know, when you're lonely and having to deal with, you know, whatever it is by yourself. And one of the things that I will never forget, Chaplain telling me at Bennett was, you know, when you're alone, look at that time as being all one with God.
Yes.
You know, if you add an extra L, you'll be all one with God. And I was like, I can do that. spending that time with him, you know, fighting and praying, because faith without works is dead, but taking care of yourself, because the worst thing you can do is return to where you came from in worse shape because you didn't take care of yourself where you were. Like, do that. Don't be embarrassed. Take care of yourself. Inquire. Get those free resources. Well, they ain't free to pay for them. But take advantage of it. Like, really do. It's okay to not be okay.
I like to piggyback on what she just said. I graduated a long time ago. I'm Auntie Pookie, by the way. I graduated from Wesleyan University in 1994. And just listening to the conversation that's going on, it just brings me back to that time. I dealt with depression, and at the time I didn't know what it was, right? I just knew that I missed my family, I missed my mom, I missed what I always knew, right? So now I'm at this liberal arts university with a whole bunch of people that are different than me, and I didn't necessarily know how to navigate my way through that. And no one had these conversations. We didn't talk about what do you expect. Everything was academic. Oh, you got a 3.8 grade. This is what you're gonna do. But no one talked about these social issues. And so, sidebar, I just want to say I commend you, Crystal, for having this academic, because I think it's so important for our young people to understand these things and have these conversations, because it's not happening. Unless you make it happen, it's not gonna happen. So, thumbs up to you. But during that time, I struggled because I didn't understand what it was, and I felt a little bit embarrassed because we didn't have that conversation, right? But what do you do when you feel down? You don't feel like doing the things that you've always used to doing. What do you do when you're in your room and there's nobody else to go to, and your roommate's not worried about you because you're just dealing with it? And it took me some years to figure it out, right? Of course, I knew who God was. In that moment, it was a feeling of despair, a feeling of discouragement, and I didn't know. So, okay, you can sit on somebody's couch, you can talk to somebody, you can go to the health center. There are resources there, and I think it's so important just you know that there are people there, that they're there for you, and it's not that you're crazy. It's not that there's something wrong with you. It's just that there are issues that you need to deal with, and you need to dialogue about it. You need to talk to somebody about it. And yes, you do need to pray. And whatever works for you. For me, it was journaling. I journal a lot. I wrote, and I wrote poems, and I just wrote how I felt, and I prayed. Whatever it is that works for you, find out what that thing is, and then do it. Keep praying, but know that it's okay to talk to somebody, and it's okay to seek help. It's okay to talk to somebody that can help you, and reach out. Don't sit in your hole and say, I'm just gonna figure it out on my own, because it weighs more on you, right? So many years later, I recognized that it was important for me to do that, not for me, but for other folks, right? To be able to share that and say, I'm not ashamed to say I dealt with depression, it's all right, it's okay. But I sought the help that I needed, right? And now I'm a better person because of it. And now I can share that with you guys and say, you know what, when you're in your room and you're feeling lonely, or you're missing your family, or you're just feeling like, oh my God, I don't know what is going on. Why is this going on? Why do I feel this way? It's okay. Pray about it, go to God about it, but also do the other things that make you feel better. And take the time to focus on you. As all the panelists said, you gotta take care of you. Sometimes we worry about everybody else and worry about what everybody else is thinking, what's going on. But you have to take time out and say, you know what? What is it that I, Miriam, enjoy? What is it that makes me happy? What is it that makes me smile? What is it that makes me feel better? And then do those things, right? But just be conscious of that. Take care of self first. Take care of self first.
I just want to piggyback on this. Is such great conversation. I'm so glad that we're talking about this. For me, I am like a type A person. You know, like I'm very strong, and I think that as women, when you're strong, when you're perceived as being like, you know, like really smart, or like, you know, the head of your household, that people feel like you don't feel.
Exactly.
Nobody asks if you're okay because you're always helping other people.
Absolutely.
And so that was something that I experienced in college. I'm the eldest of 3 children, and I actually found out, or started going to my university's counseling center, because I was trying to actually help a friend out who never actually went to go. So, backstory for clarity. I just want to let you guys know that you all are beautiful. Your shape, your size, everything about you is perfect. My friend in college, she was an international student from Trinidad. She was looking like Beyonce, no lie. I mean, like, she was just like, but she had body image issues. And no matter how many times, you know, myself and other people would tell, like, you know, you're beautiful. She never believed it. She, like, you know, would do all these kind of things to kind of like lose me. there's nothing to lose. So I had this conversation with her, like, you know what, let's go to the Student Counseling Center, and I'm gonna go with you. I'm gonna sit in with you because I want to take away that stigma that getting counseling is for crazy people. So she was all good with it until we actually had to go. We had planned this out. It was a beautiful day. It was a beautiful day. We went during spring break because we were both our age, resident assistants, so there was nobody on campus because spring break was there. So we went to the, university center to go to the counseling session, and like she started to turn up. Homegirl was acting up in the lunchroom. She was like, "No, so why you not going?" And blah blah blah. I'm like, "I'm going with you. I'm going with you." But she, long story short, she felt ashamed. She felt like she was being judged by going. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna sign up with you. I don't even gotta be in your session. You have your own session. I'll have my own session. I didn't think that I needed it. I was just going to be a supportive friend. Fast forward 10 minutes, we into the session, and I'm like, Nancy, why am I crying? Nancy, why am I crying? And she's like, just let it out. I was so like, just pass me them tissues, Nancy. And so I didn't realize that I even had all that stuff to unpack. But she's like, for me, my biggest issue was just like helping everybody else and feeling like I always had to save the day just because that's the role that I play in my family's life. She's like, what happens if you stop? What happens if you don't do X, Y, Z? What's gonna happen? Is the world gonna end? They're gonna learn how to do those things for themselves. You know what I mean? She's like, why are you making excuses for your father? Why are you, for the people that we love sometimes when they do things to hurt us, we kind of like make excuses. Like, they did this or they said this, but they're really my friend. Like, they're not like that all the time. You know what I'm saying? So I love the fact that we could just talk about that there is this resource on campus. It is free because it's included in your tuition, and your parents don't know, but like my family never knew. They are not allowed to tell your parents unless you're trying to like harm yourself or other people. But my family never knew that I went to the counselor. I was sad when me and Nancy had to part ways. I'm like, Nancy, I like this relationship. Right? So I just encourage you to, sometimes you need somebody that knows nothing about your situation, that knows nothing about who you are to step in and bring you clarity. That counseling sessions was something that I didn't even know that I needed. Here I was being a pillar for everyone else, my family, the residents at my school, the organizations that I was a part of. And it's like when you are the strongest person in your circle or one of the strongest people, then who do you go to talk to? Who do you go to get advice from? That, without judgment. Whenever I would talk to people and tell them like I needed advice or I felt scared or uncertain about it, it's like, girl, you strong, are you smart, you gonna pass that test, you always, you did it before, you do it again, but that doesn't take away how I feel. The stress of it, the anxiety of it, it's a lot. So to know that I had, and Nancy was white, y'all. Nancy, let me tell you. Nancy would get me together. She's like, here's another tissue. She's like, no, Nancy was a trip, but it was awesome. So I encourage you guys, even if it's just for one session, right? Just to go in and just get some stuff off your chest and have somebody that knows nothing about you or your situation just listen to what you have to say.
So, not just to piggyback. Know that there's also beyond conventional therapy, which is talking. There's creative arts expressions therapy, art therapy, creative writing, poetry, dance. You have an array of services in the mental health field that you can utilize, especially if that's your passion. Some people are into creative arts. I'm into art in a sense. There are different therapies out there that do help. So it's not just the conventional talking. If you don't feel comfortable talking, you want to ease your way in another avenue, there are services out there, and they do work.
Okay. Hi y'all. I'm so glad we having this conversation. Because girl, I wish somebody would have told me something. Ain't nobody tell me nothing. No, I didn't listen. No. So one of the, something just kind of came to me. So I go to I do a lot to take care of myself. I do a lot to make sure I'm the best version of myself. And when I'm tired, I just gotta rest. I can't do nothing else about it. Like I literally, I gotta shut down. Like Jesus shuts the studio down. So there's like a little mnemonic that comes along, and I don't remember all of it. It might be help, but I'm not sure. But if you're hungry, you eat. If you're exhausted, you sleep. If you're lonely, the cure to loneliness I mean, you can find something. Sometimes, you know, you read a book, whatever, right? But the cure to loneliness is to do something for somebody else. Believe it or not. And it actually works. So you're not focused on your dead relationships. You're not focused on being alone. Because you could be in a house full of people and still feel lonely, right? So the cure to being lonely is to do something for someone else. That is such an amazing feeling because it's not about you. It's not about whether or not you're strong. It's not about any of those things. It's not about trying to fix yourself. That exposure and that help to someone else is great. I love the fact that you decided you were going to go with your homegirl because being a friend is such an important gift and it's such an amazing aspect that we have because we're not in this world alone. Not at all. So in order to like, it's all of our responsibility to kind of combat that stigma, right? Be like, yo, you want to go rap? You want to go talk to somebody? What you want to do? So in terms of the stigma, how I've dealt with it, it wasn't, my battle was like mental health issues. The part that breaks me or that broke me or that hurt me the most wasn't because I didn't realize that I was going through pain. It wasn't the fact that I did things out of like a manic sort of state or a depressive sort of state. None of that really hurts me the most. It's not cute, cool, but it doesn't hurt me the most. The part that got me the most was like when family couldn't respect or couldn't understand or they don't have vocabulary, right? They don't know what to say. They don't know how to talk to you. They don't know how to think about you. I've had family members say some crazy things and I'm like, bro, I ain't never try to hurt nobody in my life. Why are you talking to me like this? Why? Because they don't know no better. So it stretches you greatly. I'm grateful for my experience because it grows me as a person. I can't be super mad at my brother every 2 seconds because he don't know no better. Right, and I can't force him to learn or think the way I think. I can't. And now the stuff that I've done to like heal to treat myself or to the methods that I use to take care of me, I would love for everybody should go and do some of these things. This stuff is great for everybody. It has nothing to do with whether or not you have a diagnosis or if you feel like you have a problem. Some stuff is just healthy all the time. Being a good friend is healthy all the time. If you can share an article or share a meme or do a thing to kind of let somebody know this is cool. We all think about this. Everybody in this room has a brain. Everybody in this room. Say it again. Everybody. No. So, you know, being a friend is great. Being a friend is a wonderful thing. Again, like I said, the part of the stigma that gets me is like, yo, and you realize at one point you talked in it too. Before you had a different way of walking, before I knew some of the more sensitive things, I probably was not sensitive to those things either. You don't, like, you hear it all the time. You never know what someone else is going through. But we don't really... It's still, because a lot of stuff, when you see it, you can respect it. If you can't see it, you just can brush it off. It doesn't really make that big of an impact. But I don't know, I've done a lot of things to kind of, also another thing that we talk about, like treatment or healing or so my thing is healing, right? So you have holistic kind of healing, prescription medication, and faith, and there's a relationship with all of those things. So we talk about prayer is cool, but prayer didn't fix me right away. Prayer wasn't the only thing that I had to do. So I've done all types of stuff. So physically, if I get sick, I'm like, girl, where my ginger at? Where's my tea at? Right? I need this thing to fix me, right? Or so eventually, like with my particular situation, I actually ended up taking medication, and I battled the stigma because the stigma comes into play when it comes to getting your best help. You think, I don't need that, I don't want that, we don't do that, and it's so funny because in black communities, if you say God forbid you want to take some medicine, they're like, oh what? But grandma takes her medicine, don't she? Why? Because if grandma don't take her medicine, she gonna die. You understand what I'm saying? So don't let anybody trap you to saying what your healing and what your help can look like. Those methods are perfectly fine. When you look at Jesus in the Bible, he healed people in a number of different ways. If you touched him or he touched you, if he spit in your eye, whatever he did, that physical part was a method. You understand what I'm saying? It's a method. So if it's praying, that's a method. Come on, I'm gonna preach that. So if it's a method, it's a method. You understand? But the healing comes from God. You can't tell me nothing different. So I'm very grateful for my experience because at the end of the day, I didn't sit there and go, okay, God gonna fix me in like 20 minutes, I'm gonna be okay. No, not so much. The work, faith without works is dead. So I came through the medication, it was great, it helped me, it fixed me, not all the way, kinda, did some stuff. It gave me some stability to the point where afterwards I got to see what was wrong in a clearer space, and after the fact, because I no longer take it, but after the fact, I was able to say, if I ever need it again, I'm not afraid, I'm not ashamed. Right. If, and now I get, and to be honest, in my particular case, coming off the medication, I got access to a part of myself that I was not responsible for before. I wasn't responsible with before. We are responsible for ourselves, but that doesn't mean we always act in terms of responsibility. Yes. So I got to feel again. I had some emotions. Girl, The Color Purple came on, and I watched it and I cried. On that medication, I would have been sitting there like. Right, so I kind of of shut me up. So I felt like God was trusting me with myself again, right? And I take myself very seriously. I take myself extraordinarily seriously. I don't play about me. I don't to myself. I don't play. Did anybody watch that show? This Is Us.
Yes.
He's talking. There's a partner show where the guy who's dying. Somebody asked him, "How do you feel?" He's talking about how he loves his family. And you hold on to every breath that they breathe. You hold on to the words that they speak. I could not be around my family because I felt like I was going to lose them. That urgency of life and that respect that I had gained for life would not have happened if I would have just kept thinking I was alright. I couldn't barely talk. I didn't want to look at people. All the mannerisms that you do, hey, how you doing? Nope. I couldn't tell who was real, who was fake. Things got so bad, but I stuck with it. I went to it. I did it. I had a fear of even who my therapist was, right? Like, this is all gonna come back on me in some godforsaken way, but I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep pressing. So I've come such a long way, but it wasn't just because I prayed. It wasn't just because of the medicine, because God wanted it, right? He helped me get that done. So don't forget that the things that you do to take care of yourself, they matter, but whatever's going to work, because we hear it all the time, this medication don't work. We did all that we can. But whether or not it works, is God. If it works, it's God. If it don't work, it's God. At the end of the day. So I've grown to respect people in a greater way than I think I have before. I learned to respect myself in a greater way than I have before. And so at this point, it's like I said, beauty from my ashes, because I'm able to sit here and talk to somebody and go like, yo, don't worry about it, you got it, care, love, don't be afraid. You can sing, you can cry, you can dance, you can shout, but it always gets better.
Awesome stuff. I commend you for that.
Thank you, girl.
One thing that I wanted to do was to open up the floor to you ladies to see if you had any questions, because literally you are sitting right across from your network and what's going to be your network from this event. We talked a lot about loneliness and feeling like you're by yourself. One of the goals for this event was for you to leave here knowing that you have people that support you and have your back and want to make sure that you're going your best way or on your best journey. So if you have any questions, this will be a great time for you to ask directly, whether it's to the group, whether you have one person that you feel like you can relate to that you want to ask them. We are opening the floor for questions if you have any. Anybody? Well, I have two here that were anonymous. The goal that was in the index cards were for you to write down your questions if you wanted to ask anything anonymously. Yeah, anonymously, and put them inside of the bowl. So I grabbed the two that were in the bowl, and I'm gonna read them while you guys also prepare questions that you may have, because I know this is kind of on the spot. You're like, girl, no questions. So you can take time to kind of think about something that you want to ask directly. So the first question that I have here, it just says, how do you get to where you are? And we know that that's a pretty broad question. What were the steps? I think if I can break this down a little further, what were the steps that it took to get you from point A to point B? Meaning, from going to college to actually being in college and surviving that process. And I think, it doesn't have anyone that's specific to, so if any one of you want to answer this question. What were the steps that it took to get to where you are? How did you get to where you are?
I think for me, it was, I always say this, like I can't stop saying it, is just creating your own opportunities. Sometimes people don't realize that they need you until you tell them. If you see a way to insert yourself, so to tie it back to the networking question that we spoke about, the best way to network is not to give somebody your business card. The best way to network is to add value. If you are
Jules, tips.
You're right. You don't want somebody to just come to you. We've all had people in our lives like, oh, can you do this for me? Can you do that for me? They only come to you to get something. So when you out there just giving, somebody doesn't even have to directly ask you for help. Like me, I love helping people. I love connecting people. If I meet you, I'm asking like, what's your ultimate career goal? What are your challenges? So like, I'm putting that in my brain.
She literally gave me an interview right there, and I was like, okay.
Yes. See, my friends are not here to give me the hook. They usually be like, come on, Nephi, it's time to go now. It's time to go. But I want to know as much as I can about you so that I can help you. If I don't know what you're going through or what your goals are, then I can't help you. So, in order for you to get to wherever you want to be in life, you have to lift as you climb, and you can't just always be like looking to get stuff. So you guys know a lot. contrary to popular belief or what people may think or what people may tell you, you know a lot. So if you can add value to someone, whether it's a social media tip or even it's something that you're learning in class, go ahead and do that, so that when it's your turn to ask, they'll be more likely to be like, yeah, sure, you know, you already have that relationship flowing. You know what I'm saying? In terms of creating your own opportunities, you have to get comfortable with being like the oddball, like being the odd person out. I don't know if this is how, you know, I don't know how you young kids do it today, but for me, listen, when I turned 21, I'm like, I need to start getting wrinkle cream. I got problems. But, you know, I know that sometimes, like for me personally, you get made fun of for doing the right thing. Like for me, growing up, like in high school, like kids wanted to like hang out on the stoop and like sit on the corner, and I'm just like, no thanks. So you get made fun of for being like the smart person. You get made fun of for deciding not to go out. Like I went out in college, but I like partying was like not really my thing. Yeah, like I'll go, but like, you know, I was like everybody's mama in college. I'm gonna do your makeup. Let me get your hair together. You know, so you have to get comfortable with being the odd person. You have to know what your purpose is, and you have to realize that it's not for anybody else to understand. So for me, I'm the first person in my family to work in entertainment. There was no roadmap, and coming from a West Indian family, they're like, you wasted money to go to college to work in entertainment. Like you want to, like, why? You want to be on TV and do interviews? Like that's not a career. But when I was at the BET Awards, they would slide in. I'm like, yes, I always believed in her. You know, the Black Girls Rock thing. It's like, yes, you know, you got any more tickets? So for me, it was, you know, taking my personal brand seriously and creating the opportunities that I wish exist. So I love Oprah, I love Wendy Williams, but they are in a different age group than I am. I need to be able to see myself, and so that's why I created my web series, The Path Less Travel, with spotlights from millennial entrepreneurs, so people who are between 18 to 34 years old who have turned their passion into their career. And so each episode is packed with actionable tips on how to start, run, and grow your business. It's on YouTube, but I did that because, like, before Keke Palmer's show came out, who was young like us that was having a show? Just because there's no one out there doing it, or just because there isn't a first, doesn't mean that you can't be the first. So number one is like creating your own opportunities and being strategic about everything. Like I said, I utilized all the resources that my school had, all the departments, the equipment. Like, I don't know when you're going to be able to have so much access ever again in your life to everything, to anything that you need is right there. And then, the third thing is like knowing how you add value. So I hate when people come to me and they want to work with me or they want to collaborate, but they don't know how they want to collaborate. They just want to, if you don't know how you have to know what you bring to the table. If you don't know what you bring to the table, then maybe you shouldn't be there. And that's a fact. You have to know how you add value. Everybody adds value, but it's like you have to be able to articulate that point. And that comes into you getting these opportunities, that comes to you pitching, that comes to you getting a job, an internship, all of that good stuff. And then also don't dumb down what you know. In order to be seen as an expert, you have to share what you know. So even though you may think like, oh, I'm young and I don't like know that much or whatever, you have to share what you know. You know more than somebody else. Right? You're never gonna be like the smartest person. There's nobody that's, there's no smartest person in the world, right? There's always somebody that knows more than you and there's somebody that knows less than you. So you always want to be able to share what you know and create your own opportunities, because at the end of the day, I think you said that we all have a personal brand. And so your brand is what people say about you and what people think about you when you're not in the room. How are you using your social media channels? In that bio, your Instagram bio, your Twitter bio, I need to know like what you about. What are you doing? Don't say, I hate when people say aspiring. Like start writing. Once you start writing, you're a writer. You're not an aspiring writer. It's like you are, you aren't. Own that. So start writing. Make sure that you utilize your social media channels to showcase the things that you like. So while I'm scrolling through my feed and I see your stuff, it's like, oh, she's into this, she's into that. So when an opportunity comes up, I can reach out to you about that.
You know what's so funny? I don't know about y'all. Have any of y'all faked it to make it?
Oh, yeah, sometimes
No,
I fake it till you make it.
seriously. Right now, Sprinkle of Jesus is the largest online ministry in the country. We have 5 million young adults on this app. I'm making $60,000 a month on advertisement, but that came with a lot of me not knowing what the heck I was doing, a lot of faking it, a lot of like at one point in time on the app, I had fake advertisers. So something what you said, like, oh, don't put aspiring entrepreneur, aspiring writer. No, it is what you are that. You can be that today, you can be that yesterday, and you can start in a week. But I think it's super, super important that you take on the role that you want to be, who you want to become. And dude, who's gonna tell you you're not? You are a writer, you write in your journal. I am a Christian entrepreneur because I'm a Christian and I wanted to be an entrepreneur, so that's what I became. No one used that term before I started, and I'm like, once again, you can be whatever you want. Like, you get to where you're going by knowing that's who you want to be and not letting anybody else tell you that you're not. I hated dogs and I said I wanted a dog, so I became a lover of dogs. Like, I can be a writer tomorrow. I can be whatever I tell people I am. And at some point in times, I had to fake it till I made it. Seriously, guys, I've faked so many advertisements. I'll even tell you guys a story. I, one time, took a bag of Cheetos and said that I was advertising it for eating them. Do you know the owner of Hot Cheetos called me and said, I'd give you $5,000 to make a post about my Cheetos. I said, what? I eat them for fun. Like, you make me gain weight. Like, I was like, but okay, cool. But literally, sometimes you have to put out there who you want to be, what you want to do. For example, I would never call Neffy to handle some of the interviews for Sprinkle of Jesus if I didn't know that's what she wanted to do. Tell people what you want to do. A closed mouth does not get fed. Sometimes I open my mouth a little too much, but that's where opportunity comes from. You know, she would have never called me to come. Chris would have never called me to come to this event if I didn't say, you know what, I like talking, I like uplifting people, I like empowering people, and this is what I love to do. You have to be bold. A lot of the time, we are very cowardly about the gifts and the anointing the Lord has placed over your life because we're afraid of telling people who we want to be because they have small minds. They think small. That, once again, that has absolutely nothing to do with who you are. Think bold. Think big. I'm going to be a millionaire. I speak it over my life all the time. Guess what? 3 years ago, I couldn't even pay my cell phone bill, and I'm halfway there. I'm halfway now to being a millionaire. That's not set up in my pedigree. It's not in my pedigree. Once again, I was broke, my family on drugs. That was not in my pedigree, but you guys need to be bold about who you want to be and how you're going to get there is using your resources, using college, using people around you. Sometimes it's a little hard, and I kind of say this all the time, but dude, if you're not useful, I do not want you around me. If you are not useful, you're useless. And there's absolutely no reason for us to have someone around you that cannot help you, that is not going to help you grow spiritually, that's not going to love you, that is not going to take care of you. Dude, you have plans. You guys are going to college. You guys have things. You guys have callings over your life that need to be fulfilled. And you're not going to do that with not letting people know who you are and what you do. So be bold about it.
I have to say something, sorry. Real quick, I just want to say, just to piggyback on what you just said. Each of you were created with a purpose, right? And sometimes in the beginning we don't know what that purpose is. But I have to say this, just listening to what you said. In knowing what your purpose is, you have to be bold about it, right? And that's going to make some other people uncomfortable. That's okay, right? They're supposed to be uncomfortable because that's whatever that is yours is yours. And whatever God has for you is for you. Can't nobody take it. Can't nobody mess it up. Can't nobody do anything with it. You, whatever your calling is, pray about it, find out what that is. If you don't know, already know. And if you have a hint, work on that. But just remember that you were created with a purpose, and whatever that purpose is, that's what you're supposed to be doing. So once you figure that out, you just do it. Work at it. Work at your craft. Nothing comes easy, right? Because you have to put in the work. But know that, again, they're going to be haters. They're going to be people going, oh, girl, what, you crazy? What you talking about? You can't do that. But if God put you here to do it, then you got to do it.
I have more questions here, but does any of you have any questions you have on top of your head? Yeah, I already know. So when attending predominantly white institutions or just in general, how would you, as a person of color, make the campus your own, and how do you manage to stand out in an intimidating environment? I think we need to push the back Let's go ahead.
I went to a predominantly white institution. I went to Wesleyan University Liberal Arts, and that was one of the things that I think I struggled in the beginning, because I felt like everybody wanted to put me in a box, right? You're either African American or Latina or this. And I was like, no, I don't fit into that or. I'm African American, I'm Latina, I'm Garifuna, and all of these things, it wasn't a box for me to check, basically. And I recognized that it's okay. I don't have to fit into your box. I don't fit into a box. I am African American, you see my skin. I am Latina, that's my language. And I am Garifuna because that's where my parents come from. And so I think you have to be strong within yourself, and you have to identify yourself. You cannot allow other people to identify who you are, right? And if you don't know, talk to your elders, talk to your family, find out what that family line is. But be proud of who you are, and don't compromise yourself for anybody or anything, and don't let anybody try to put you in a box. I think we live in a society that forces us sometimes to check. I don't want to check. That doesn't fit me. I'm gonna make my own box. I'm gonna put other, and I'm okay with that. So you have to be able to define who you are for yourself and be okay with it. And when other people ask you and question you, yeah, you can tell them this is who I am, right? And if you don't know, that's okay too. I'm not too sure, but I know that I don't fit over there, and I know that I don't fit over there, and I'm not doing it just because that's the popular vote. I'm gonna be who I am, and until I find out what that is, then I'm gonna be over here. I'm good over here.
For me, I would say that in addition, like, I agree that you have to know who you are. Don't compromise who you are and everything that makes you you. I know that sometimes being the only one, like, I went to a school that was predominantly white, but I've worked in companies in corporate America where I was the only chip in that cookie. It's like, oh, that's Neffy over there. And so, during times like that, I have, you can tell I'm like outgoing. I express myself through like my clothes and my hair. You go on that job interview, you got your hair straight, you try to, put it back, kind of, let everything simmer down a little bit. But it's like, how long can I keep this up? How long can I keep hiding myself, And so what I realized is that outside of just the color of your skin, you being authentically who you are is what gets you those opportunities. It's what makes you an interesting person, and it adds to your circle, your friend group, but also your professional life. Because I was always authentically who I am. I love social media. So at work, I'm teaching my boss how to use Snapchat, because they already know, like, that's like, I'm Snapchatting the meetings. They're like, okay, it's somebody's birthday. We can't eat any cake until Never takes a picture of it. So I would say, in those moments, don't allow, yourself to feel lesser than, or that you have to change because you don't see anybody else that looks like you. I think it's an opportunity for you to educate. You don't have to put that whole thing like, oh, I'm gonna tell you about the whole black race, but to allow people to experience something new, and that something new and that someone new is you. So I would say, be your boldest self. And then also in those times when you need to find people that look like you go out there and you find them. Because if you have a need that's not being met, there are other people that feel the same way. So you find the other people of color, the other underrepresented people on your campus or in your workplaces, your internships, your classes. And you guys kind of create a sisterhood or a friendship or a group where you guys can support each other and talk about the issues that really matter to you with someone that knows where you're coming from. Oh, lastly, you said something about like being an introvert, right? Or like how do you stand out?
Stand out in an intimidating environment.
Okay, so in an intimidating environment, I say go with your fears. Like in school, like I love school, but most people sit in the back. You know, let me tell you, the trick is you sit in the front. You sit in the front row because one, your teacher sees your face all the time. So whether or not no matter where your grades are, you're gonna get extra points just because they see your face all the time. It's like, oh, she comes to class, or she raised her hand. You may not even raise your hand a day in class, but it's like they just remember seeing you in the front row. Two, for me, when I go out, I make sure that I have a statement piece on or something that will attract somebody to me so that I don't have the pressure of always going up to somebody to talk to them. So for today, that could be my hair. If I'm an introverted, if I'm an introverted person, I don't know what to say, I don't, know how to talk to people, I know somebody's gonna come up to me and talk about my hair. That's like a way to break the ice. And for me, I do the same for somebody else. You find something that you like, compliments get you so far, You find out something that you like about them, that what they're wearing, something that they said, and that kind of like, that kind of like releases let your guard down a little bit, you know what I'm saying? And then always, if you don't know what to say, you lead with asking them more about them. People love talking about themselves, including me. But you tell me more about what you do, or like, where do you come from, or what's your favorite class, or do you have this teacher? What are some, I'm looking for some on-campus activities. What are some groups that you're thinking about trying out? So the more they talk, the less you have to. And then it kind of makes you feel a little bit more comfortable for you to like then jump into the conversation.
And dude, be more than creative. Like, I just recently, someone from, what's that college called? Into PA, Villanova. Someone from Villanova, like, she's always wanted to be an entrepreneur and stuff like that. She came to us and we create mobile apps at my office for entrepreneurs. She came and said, I want to do something for my campus. I want to be able to trade with each other things that we need. If a senior has a refrigerator, what do they do? Throw it out? Why not give it to a freshman? If you're creative and think outside the box of what it is that you can do leaving, you can have it. So be bold and creative. Start new things. Do different things. Talk to different people. My thing is, in school, I would randomly go sit next to the weirdest person. And just like, hey, what's up? Like, how are you? Like, what do you do? Like, you know what I mean? What do you need? How can I help? Don't be afraid to start something new. Like, school is a great opportunity to learn, but don't let that cripple you into thinking you can't even start your career now. You know? Any other questions from the kids? I'm just looking at the time. It's 2 o'clock, and I want to make sure that you guys all eat. And we can still talk while we're eating and things of that nature, but I want to make sure that the ladies answer the questions. And I have 2 more questions that I have. So, any other questions?
Okay, so like, where do you start when you want to network, but like you don't really like know what to say or like how to branch off and talk to people in order to get that type of networking that you feel you need or that you want?
I like the things that Neffy had to say about asking people questions about themselves, and you'd be surprised at what standout is. Be very open-minded about what it means to stand out. It might not always be the hair, it might not always be the personality. It might be because, that was the only person who asked me about my kids today, or something. But it might be something else that don't sell yourself short on what makes you attractive. But asking people questions about themselves is a great networking opportunity. Like, don't sleep on that.
And start in places that you feel comfortable. For example, creative writing, right? You like writing? Go where other people like to write. So you know that you have a great conversation to talk about. For example, I'm not going to who's doing bio? I'm not coming to talk to you. I hate bio. Like, I'm not, no science, no nothing. I'm not coming to talk to you about that. But, just kidding. But seriously, go where you know that you can actually add to the conversation so it's not awkward. Like, hey, what do you do? I don't know anything about the planets and science, so... You know what I mean? It's just really, really awkward. So first, go somewhere where you feel super comfortable. To me, I would go to the gym. I like sports. Or me, I would go to computers because I like technology and I like to... Then we have something to talk about. I really liked what she said. Personally, I'm like one of the best networkers in the world. I can literally start having a conversation about anything because I love learning. Be knowledgeable on a lot of things. I can talk from anything from Tupac to zebras to anything. YouTube is your best friend. The internet is your best friend. It is super important to be knowledgeable about anything. I can talk to you about New York. I can talk to you about Atlanta. Just keep learning and you'll always be able to converse with other people.
And I know that once you get on campus, it can be very intimidating because so many people.
but say hi. It could just start off by a simple hi or a simple smile. Because that's what helped me. I was just like, I went from, yo, what up, to like, hey. And it went far because I stepped out of my comfort zone of just nodding my head to actually saying, well, how's your day going? What class do you have? So you don't, just start off small. Just start by saying hi and look presentable. I always had a straight face, like, nobody talking to me. But I had to change that. I'm not gonna walk around with a smile on his like, it's weird. But be presentable, and people will gravitate towards you, and you can just, that's nice to meet you, girl, and start small conversation.
Most definitely. Small talk is good talk. I was all in Neffy's scout when I walked in. I was like, can I have a white girl? And then we brought it back with, the cultural context. I was like, yes, how long did that take? I know, she was tired of sitting down, but 4 hours is not bad. Anyway, I would say most definitely, like, go to spaces where you are a part of that community, but also do your research. When you walk into the room, know who's on the panel. Like, you all got information about us, so you want to be in terms of, we start talking, we hit it off. I don't know, give me a writer who's alive. If Nikki Giovanni was in the room, you would want to know so much about her, so you wouldn't have to ask her questions. You could Google and get those answers. So do your research, but also read the room. Like, you want to come into an atmosphere and be like, okay, get a vibe for where you are, because if you're the only one talking the most, may not be that kind of situation. Or if you see people just like hanging around, talking to whomever, don't be afraid to go up to someone. And it's not a bad thing to walk up to a circle when you're networking and listen, and then interject yourself in the conversation, because you don't always have to have something to say. Sometimes you just need to go, read the room, take notes, and then reach out later on if you find something that you like about someone. So those are my little 2 tidbits. But don't be afraid to speak. Like she said, speaking and smiling. If you look like don't talk to me, I got attitude and I'm ready to fight, then you may bring that right back to you. But if you're smiling and you're in a corner by yourself, somebody may walk up like, hey, what's your name? Why are you standing over here by yourself? Oh, well, I work for, I don't know. And I think you're dope. Let's connect.
No one likes to talk to mean people.
Yeah.
If you're a young adult, you're older, no one likes to talk to someone or have a conversation with someone who looks mean, who has an attitude. My thing is, I'm not going into a conversation saying, hey, this conversation is going to make me unhappy. No, I want to be happy. I want to laugh. Like one day, I was driving to the office, and I was like laughing so hard about something hysterically. Like I literally was dying at my steering wheel. And we were stuck in traffic. All of a sudden, I looked around and everyone was watching me and laughing. And I was like, why are they laughing? And I was like, they're laughing at me laughing. So it's really important to, if you want to have great conversation and you want to be like, meet great people, you have to be that great person and you have to have great conversation. So what you're looking for, make sure you are at the same time.
I love that. And I think just to add, everyone has such, so many great tips. I think that it can also be beneficial if you have like a wing woman or a wing man. You have that friend that is outgoing, so you have somebody to help introduce you into new crowds and to allow you to be a little bit more comfortable in a space where you're in a different environment. And then also people, find somebody that you have something in common with. That's always a great way to break the ice, aside from like doing your research, but it's like, we both have the same class or we both whatever. And that kind of allows you to feel more comfortable. But on a college setting, on a campus setting, or just in life in general, I always feel that like having a friend that knows your true you, because I'm that person. Lord, don't like you. I'm not the person that you want to sit next to in class or on the job and you're quiet, because I'm gonna make you talk. So that's how I am for my friends, because your friends, they know your potential, they know what a great person you are, they know how funny you are, but it may take you a little bit of time to like let that shine and show that to other people that you just meet. So when you go to new events or new places with someone that is a little bit more outgoing, they can pull out the true you,
Okay. I have another set of questions here. One is, so if you're self-conscious of yourself and you know what you're doing is not going down the right path, how do you pick yourself up? How do you pick yourself up before it's too late when you find yourself going down the wrong path? And that's broad too. The wrong path can be great. The wrong path can be the wrong friend.
shot at that. One thing that's very important is remembering where you started. Because you can go somewhere on the path and kind of get lost. You get off track. So writing down a to-do list or some goals, and even that vision board. I'm finding myself getting off course of things and dreams that I've had because I got into something else. And just 2 weeks ago, I sat down, got some magazines, got some scissors, glue stick, and wrote it and did a vision board. So sometimes when you're getting off track, you just need to sit down with yourself, no one else. And sometimes I know we always said to speak things and words are powerful or whatnot. Sometimes it's good to not speak so much and keep it within and work on your own goals. I was off track when I was a juvenile. I told you I got my high school diploma while I was incarcerated. It wasn't a dummy or anything like that. I think I just got sidetracked. Nobody grows up and say I want to become a gangbanger. Nobody says that. I think now that I look back on it, growing up in South Central LA, there was a lot of older individuals that I looked up to and took me under their wings while my father was in prison. And so when I ended up incarcerated for something that I didn't even do, I sat down and I said, you know what, I got to get back on track. So I wrote these things down. It's very powerful to write things down. That's why you guys have the notes right now. And I started picking up books and reading them and whatnot. So, if you find yourself getting off track, come back to point A and write it down again. Get that vision board so that you can see it daily. Something that can be instilled in you.
And this has nothing to do with the cars, but I just wanted to, because I've seen your work and what you do as far as going back to visiting prisons and making sure that you spill the knowledge that you have too. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. Sometimes I'm always traveling and, I can lose sight of things, but every time I go back to Los Angeles, I got friends all up and down the prison system. So I'm making my business to go visit the inmates. And when I go inside those day rooms and we're playing chess, we're talking about things, and some of them have access to Instagram. So they're looking at me traveling. Man, I just seen Egypt on that camel. It just puts things back in perspective. And I see you doing yoga every day. We're just talking about mental health. That's one of my
business, me being successful comes first. I can deal with the guys later. And it just happens that God will send you a really nice guy later. I know I'm young, but I just got engaged last week. But that wouldn't have happened unless I was focused on my passion. I made my boyfriend at the time leave his job to come work for me. So I just want you to focus on yourself and always hold yourself respectable. You're in high school, you know how guys get. You know how they talk, you know how they say, oh yeah, I slept with this person, or yeah, she was easy, blah, blah. You can't build a business and they're talking about everything else but what you're capable of doing. And so I just say, as a woman, hold yourself accordingly, hold yourself high. Not only you're a child of God, but listen, not only God can take you on a date. It's not necessary because you can't. You know what I mean? So hold yourself high. Dude, you need to bring some stuff to the table. I want you to be I want for when it comes to guys, and I feel like just with relationships and stuff like that, just that to be the last thing on your mind at the moment, because you guys have such bright futures ahead of you. That all can come later. I know I sound like a mom, don't worry about the guys and stuff like that, but oh my gosh, I didn't worry about the guys and the Lord blessed me with everything I've ever wanted. There's not one thing I've ever prayed for that I have not gotten. It's because my focus is on Him and building what He called me to do. And you guys can do the same exact thing.
You don't sound like a mom.
I'm the oldest out of 11. My dad won't stop having kids. so yeah, I'm that big sister that literally is telling my sister all the time, dude, she's getting in trouble all the time. But don't think that you can't get God. There's people, there's college students dropping out of college every single day because they're pregnant, because they got distracted, because they're crying and depressed over a boy. You don't need that kind of stress in your life right now. Let's talk about you making really good money, you becoming successful, you inspiring people, and you doing everything you want to do. No idea who's going to walk you into your new season, so we're just going to pray, bless the food, Lord, we humbly come before you and ask that you forgive us for our sin. We thank you so much for today. It is a beautiful day and we all got here safely. And the people that are in this room today were called to be here, meant to be here, and we're to learn. We love you, God, and we thank you so much. We believe that you have greater for all of us, especially these college students that are walking into a new season in their life. And although they may not have anyone, I pray that the people in this room stay connected to them, that when they need help, they know we are here, Lord. I ask that you provide and send the people and our campuses to help them go through this journey, because it is not easy, but with you and with the people that you send, we know that you are there. We know that you are going to take care of them, God. God, I ask that you continue to instill that they are useful so that they do not become useless. We ask that you use them, Lord. We ask that you set them up for success. We ask that you bless them in ways that their family has never seen before. We love you and we thank you, and we believe that you are doing greater, not in just the people in this room, but specifically in the college students that are going to school, and we know that they are going to be blessed. They're going to be blessings to other people. They're going to change lives. They're going to create. They're going to innovate. We believe it, we know it, and I just ask that you continue to watch over everyone in this room, that you grant us travel and mercy as we go our separate ways, and that you just be with them. You let them know that they are there, you are there by their side, right there, every single step of the way, that you are in their dorm room, you are in their classroom, you are in the bathroom. Oh, that's kind of weird. No, you are in their dorm room, you are in their cafeteria, you are everywhere they go, Lord. We love you. We ask that you bless this food in the hands who prepared it. We are grateful, and we know that greater is coming. We ask that you just help us stick together. We love you and we thank you so much. In Jesus' name we pray, amen. Amen. My name is Kaya. I'm Kristen's little sister, and one of the things that I learned today was to maintain confidence in myself. My name is Daniela. One of the things I learned today was to be bold and to basically command the room to get what you want.
Hi, my name is Kayla, and one of the things that I learned today is to be a go-getter. Whatever you want to be, do all that you can to get to it.
Hi, my name is Kayla, and what I learned from today is if you need help, is to go out and go search for help. Don't be scared.